Hey guys, thank you guys for joining us on, excuse me, can I start again? Hey guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. So, on season 6, episode 3 and 4 of Grace and Frankie, Grace continues to struggle with her age, Coyote finds new romance, and what the heck is a Funky Walnut? Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz.
Oh, it's a different song. Oh, no, it's the same one.
Same one.
I was so thrown off for a second.
It's all good. Still jamming.
It's all good. Oh my goodness.
Still jamming.
Still in my comfort zone. Okay. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? I am your host, Katy Foley, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Emily May. You can catch her also on WWE Raw, but she's also kind of a softie, so she's here to talk about Grace and Frankie.
I am. Love the comedy, love the romance.
Yes. It's such a... We were actually just talking about this before we even taped. It's just... I love the fact that it is a show about an older generation, but it doesn't feel dated.
Yeah, it feels very like it's relatable to everyone.
Yes.
We should all be watching it.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get right into it. So, as we saw in the last 2 episodes, Grace is still obviously dealing with age. Any thoughts on it?
She is.
I know.
It's always been a running theme with her.
It's a running theme
because in previous seasons she's always like been very pristine. She's always looked a certain way. She's always like held herself to a certain standard.
Sure.
Yeah. So now that she is with Nick and they're married, it's a whole other level of commitment that she's having to deal with and being in she's out of her comfort zone.
Right.
So she is in Nick's house, she's not in her beach house. So she's thrown off completely. And so she's readjusting to this whole new life and being open and communicating with Nick.
And as they so aptly named episode 3, being a trophy wife. And I thought that episode was so fascinating because it really went into how do you define a trophy wife?
Yeah.
For Nick, it is just, kind of doting around the love of his life. But obviously for, his former business partner, he was, I think was it Sam?
Miriam, I think was
his former business investor.
Sam. Yes.
Sam. His definition of a trophy wife is, a much younger, hotter woman. I got a little confused there for a second too because they were like, "Oh yeah, we're all married," and I'm like, "Wait, what? Is this like a polygamous
What's
thing?"
interesting is when you see the title of the episode, you're like, "The trophy wife."
Yes.
Everyone has their assumptions of what that means, and I feel like the writers were playing with what it means for specific generations. And, at one point, Grace was a trophy wife for Robert.
She definitely was.
She had to, throw her dinner parties. She had to put on the airs and wear her best outfits and, talk to his business partners and his, so she's led that life before. But now she's in a different part of her life.
Right.
Where there's just a different reaction to it. And so I feel like there was a really good learning moment for Grace here because she goes to this table of these 4 gorgeous probably
model-esque
30-year-old
women.
Something, year-old women that, they also want something out of their lives more than being a trophy wife. And so they're trying to find it in their generation type.
Yeah.
And so it was, I think it showed that Grace was growing, and I feel like Nick was helping get her to the point where she could be open about her age. And I loved how they mentioned that she was 60, and she did not correct them.
Oh, that was hilarious. I loved that too. But I think it also was such an interesting discussion on insecurity and fear, I mean, the fact that they didn't really address this in the show, but Chelsea had 3 friends with her.
Yes.
Grace had to ask Frankie to join her because she was scared. But Chelsea has to have 3 friends to,
Do you really think they're friends? Because that's also a
kind
thing.
of a friend. I mean,
it's kind of like one of those things that you're there just because it's a social function for your husband, and you're acquaintances via these social outings, but you're not necessarily true friends.
Yeah, I mean the one though is her friend because they were doing the business meeting later on.
That's true.
So that
Later
one
on,
definitely.
yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting that she's got this posse, you know, and I think that Grace was feeling a little embarrassed that she had to ask Frankie to come along and like, you know, be her like kind of wingman.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think Frankie's really good in that role, and she's been doing that all along, and so, you know, and they have, you know, they have things to share to this generation, and so. I
did think it was hilarious, though, how Frankie kind of abandoned ship to get those shoes.
I love the little moment, you know.
I know.
She's a deadhead, and
she wanted deadhead.
She wanted those shoes.
She wanted those shoes.
It was a
so
really
bad.
good comedic moment. And
absolutely.
She's always quirky. She always brings those like comedic breaks in. This was these were two pretty serious episodes.
Yes.
So, and with some really heavy themes.
Yes.
So she was that comedic break.
Absolutely. And hopefully she gets to go on a date with her shoe date
I know.
pretty soon. But yeah, back to Grace. I mean, it was, and I understand why Grace's guard was up. You know, they were all like kind of treating her like she was an old woman, and you know,
they're like, we'll come to you.
We'll come to you. Don't worry. Don't move. Don't break anything. You know. So yeah, and then I think that, you know, that on top of just dealing with this whole thing of her not being able to get up, and Frankie is really trying to get her to embrace her age. You know, it's just all a big struggle. You know, but I think obviously by the end it seemed like she had finally come to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a continuous theme just because of the nature of the show and you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's get into to Coyote and his little not so ugly romance.
Romance is blossoming.
Yes.
You know, I love Coyote because his character arc has been like so fascinating to watch. You know, he's struggled. He's been kind of like the black sheep of the family in a way, where he's been, you know, in the beginning, the first few seasons, no one really wanted to help him kind of get through, you know, his addiction issues and his struggles, and, you know, he couldn't keep a job and like relationships. It's always been piling up.
Sure.
And the fact that he's in a really good place right now in this season, you know, I'm glad that he's lonely. He really just wants to connect with someone. He wants to, you know, have a life, and like he sees his, you know, his parents happy, and, you know, he's yearning for something more. And because he's overcome so many things in the past, he can focus on something good, like love.
Absolutely. I have to say I love his character too, and Ethan Embry is actually one of the reasons I started watching the show. Yes. I know he is not one of the bigger stars, because there's huge stars in the show, but I have been a fan of his for over 20 years. Can't Hardly Wait is my favorite movie, and yeah, he is one of my favorites.
Well, what I love about this is very much an ensemble cast.
Yes.
And I know that there's some really like heavy hitters in the show, but everyone brings such great comedic timing, such great, you know, subtext, and like they work on their objectives, and the storytelling arcs are amazing.
Absolutely.
So,
and
they all bring it.
I loved seeing, as you were talking about, kind of evolution of, you know, we watched the first episode where he brings Steph, who's just this random woman who does not want to be there.
No, it's the waitress. It's the one of the waiters from the wedding.
Oh, there you go. That's right. That's right.
The servers.
The servers, right. She doesn't want to be there, but he wants her there because he wants to show face. He wants to show that he has evolved, as you said.
Yeah. And he wants to have that moment where it's that Christmas that you bring this person that you've been with for a long time, or even just a short time, home with you, and you're like super proud.
Super proud.
So he wants that moment, and he hasn't had that yet.
No, he hasn't. And Mallory was trying to like talk him down by being like, you know, when I went through my divorce, I was single for like a year, and I wasn't bringing him around. That's a year, girl. Like, that's a year. Coyote has been. Yeah.
Coyote's been kind of yearning for this.
Yearning for this for forever. You know. It was so good to see him with Jessica, and I just love how it started with, you know, Frankie with the big odd painting of her. She's like, you made me do that Wonder Woman pose.
That Wonder Woman pose for 7 hours.
Yeah. I thought it was empowering. That was hilarious.
When I first saw Jessica kind of come on the scene, I was like, oh, they they're going to get along.
Right.
Coyote
But it was funny because before she even, like, you know, entered the scene, I mean, you know, Coyote was like, I don't know if this is such a good idea. Yeah. You know, she broke Bud's heart, da-da-da-da-da.
He's always so sweet and thinking of other people, and he doesn't really he does take care of himself, but then also doesn't at the same time.
He puts others' needs first before his, and that was why it was so refreshing to see him kiss her at the end, you know?
Well, he finally, like, took charge of a moment in his life without anyone judging him, without anyone saying, hey, you shouldn't do this. Like, he actually took charge, and I loved it.
I loved it, too. I mean, sorry, not sorry, Bud. Like, you know, you don't lay claim on this woman.
No,
you
this
just
person that
got married.
They haven't seen each other in how long?
Yeah.
And he doesn't get claim on her.
No, he doesn't get claim on her.
And she said that they broke up like 2-3 times in person.
Right.
And then the text. So that means he wasn't listening.
Right.
So I'm going to say, Bud, you got to get out of here.
Yeah, Bud, you got to butt out.
Got to butt out.
No pun intended. I know. Sorry. I will not quit my day jobs. Did you see I said jobs?
Yes.
Because I live in California.
Yeah.
Anyways. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see how it evolves. I'm excited to see the drama or tension that happens when Coyote ends up telling Bud that he's dating Jessica.
Maybe he'll tell him.
I know, or maybe it's going to be a top secret romance.
I don't know. It could be a top secret romance. I could keep it quiet for a while. I don't know.
I feel like Frankie is going to find out and blow it out of the water.
Well, Jessica, I love how Jessica loves Frankie so much.
Yes.
The fact that she said she's the best person in the world or ever is, I think it's revealing that it would be a good little match.
It'd be a good little match. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I loved their commitment to holding that painting. We're
that
like watching it. We're like,
miles.
Why are they not using rope?
I know. Anyways. We're like, where's the bungee cords? Where's the rope? Why didn't they just get a U-Haul or pickup truck or something?
Yes.
But it added to the comedic flavor of the episode.
It definitely did. In a less comedic turn, guys, the Funky Walnut.
I know.
I saw the title of the show and I thought, oh, this sounds like really fun. And then it turned out that they were talking about prostate cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely, and it's, we thought it would be Robert.
We thought it'd be Robert because the entire episode 3, you know, they kept cutting back to Robert. Family game night, the night that was supposed to perk him up, and he kept talking about his demise and how, I'm going to eat a sundae, and you know.
He was trying to get his mind off of everything, and, you know, he's had these issues before, and so, you know, as an audience, we're like, okay, man, it's going to probably be something. Right. It's going to be something bad, and for it to swerve like that, and for the reveal for Saul to have it, I was not.
I know.
I didn't see that coming.
Well, I know. Well, at first we thought that that the doctor was telling Saul what was wrong with Robert.
Yes, that's what we thought. We're like, maybe they didn't want to tell Robert over the phone
for shock or whatever,
shock value, and
then it turned out to be Saul. So Saul has this major choice to make whether or not he's going to go through with a surgery or if he's going to just live out his life. And Saul is very much not wanting to go through the surgery because he feels like it is going to impact the rest of his days and, you know, stall this honeymoon that they just planned. He just learned how to swim for this honeymoon, you know? So he's trying to get Robert now excited about the boat trip, and Robert's like, no, like, I want you to be here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I feel like the writers are so good about figuring out, like, once we feel like characters are on track, then they take us a different direction. Yes. And this was a moment. It was
such a nice little redirect.
It was a really good redirect. And, you know, and it's so relevant to anyone that goes through that has had family members that have to deal with these really big life choices. Yeah. And, you know, I like how they kept it intimate, where it's like Robert and Saul trying to make this choice. I was just going to say, that was really interesting because I find a lot that when Saul's going through something, he goes to Frankie. Well, he goes to Frankie, or he goes and wants to include the kids. Yes. And so it was interesting to see that for now, they're just keeping it between them. Where it's personal, it's between them. And I just thought that was a contrast between how usually they deal with it. Because they always, like, it's such a family show. They're involving everyone. You know, they wanted the game night in order to get Robert's mind off of it. And
I don't think that they ever sidebar, because I know with the game night, whole that because they lost and they were gonna like go out and be mimes. I don't think that ever happened after that phone call. No,
I think they probably didn't do that.
I think they put the kibosh on being mimes outside of Starbucks. Yeah.
But I think that it's super relevant for people just every day.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how do you make those really tough choices, and in the end they decided to.
Go through with the
surgery. Go with the surgery.
Yes. Yeah. So fingers crossed. Hopefully they still get to go on their dream honeymoon.
I know. They have to go on their honeymoon.
Yeah, they've put too much work into it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We should get into our special segment.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So our special segment today is who we think had the most grace in this episode.
Yes, that's great.
So my character that I'm going to pick for these 2 episodes would be, I'm going to say Coyote, because Coyote not only showed that he has matured and he's grown into himself, but that he can also stand up for himself and go for what he wants.
Yeah. I was going to go with Coyote too, but I'm going to change my answer.
Switch it.
I'm going to switch my answer, and I'm going to say the person to me that had the most grace was Grace.
Aww.
Yeah. Especially with those extensions in her hair. No.
Oh, I love those extensions.
They're great.
We should wear them.
I know.
Get some extensions next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I think just showing at the end, that scene with her, Joe and Margaret, with the seats. I forgot what they even called it.
It was like hydraulic lift seats. Rise up is what they were.
The rise up, exactly. The rise up seats. It definitely showed that she's willing to start taking her age in stride, which is really what Frankie has been trying to coax her into, even if it's to an embarrassing,
Yeah, and they've worked hard. They had that confrontation in the bathroom, and Grace told Frankie that she makes her feel old. Which that again, Grace really knows how to do the zingers.
Go to the guttural, right?
That hurt Frankie,
Yeah.
But I think it was her insecurity that was coming out in that moment, and just everything coming at her when she has these really young girls pitching business opportunities to her in her own living room. So, I think the end was a really nice kind of conclusion, or at least growth opportunity. I don't think it's concluded because Grace is going to continue to have those feelings, but it was a good, okay, I learned a little something and I can come full circle.
Absolutely. What do you see happening with the rest of the season?
Oh my gosh, it is, I think there's going to be some tough decisions coming down the line. I think there's going to be more surprises, more swerves, and I think there's going to be more romance blossoming. Maybe there's another wedding down the line. Maybe.
A coyote wedding?
A coyote wedding.
Yes.
Maybe. I'm going to throw it out there.
Yes. I think that Saul is going to get through his surgery fine. I think he's still going to be able to roll around with, is it Gary? Is his dog?
Oh God, what is his dog's name?
I think it's Gary.
I love the dog.
I know, I love the dog too. I think he's still gonna be able to roll around with his dog, and with Robert, but in a different kind of
different way. They made that joke kind of way.
Hilarious. That was so cute. And I think Grace and Nick are gonna see it through. I think that they're they're for the long haul.
Yeah.
And then I also do think that Frankie is going to end up seeing that guy. What'd she call him? 201?
210 or
210. The deadhead.
The deadhead.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there is going to be there's going to be lots of love blossoming.
Yes.
And I think there's going to be tests on relatitions and tests on patience and understanding.
I think with Bud and with Allison.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's still hung up on Jessica.
Yeah, what's interesting is they didn't have too much with Allison in this episode.
No,
it was just Bud kind of reliving his old love. So,
yes.
We'll see if that's going to come up and cause any more complications.
Yes. Drama.
So much drama.
So much drama.
Comedy, some fun, some tears. We'll see what happens.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for staying tuned. Remember, this is just, episode 3 and 4, so we still have the full season. How many episodes? We have 11 episodes?
11, 12, 13?
12, yeah.
We have a bunch.
So, guys, keep staying tuned. Please check out AfterBuzz for more Grace and Frankie talk back. I'm your host, Katy Foley. You can follow me on every social media platform at Katy Did What Now.
Awesome. And you can follow me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller.
Awesome. Thank you guys for staying tuned. Bye. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.